Astronauts to the moon.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jeranism, back with another video for you today, an inside look into the intellectually honest debunking of a recent Globebusters episode by a team led by Mr. Honesty himself. Ladies and gentlemen, Red's Rhetoric. Oops, miscalculation. Didn't quite get it up. It's okay though, it helps us all understand the anger that you'll show throughout this video. So Red, Mr. Intellectual Honesty. As you know, he's never actually shown his real face or his real name. However, truth must be his middle name. And I will now show you who exactly we're dealing with, and you'll get to see why this so-called debunking video just proves that the man behind the mask is incapable of any independent thought, and why he continues to treat anyone with any kind of opinion of their own as subhuman. You see, when all you can do is go to Wikipedia for all your info, and your daily task is basically being a parrot like Red and the fanboy crew, it creates a problem when it comes to a live debunking. Now, it is true that I've never been able to get Red's real name or a current picture, but I was able to get some baby pictures. That's right, exclusive photos right here, right now. Yep. There he is, Baby Red. Oh, look at him. Already dreaming of loud arcing rocket launches and satellite deployments. I even got a picture with his father, believe it or not. So here it is, Red with his dad. There we go. Oh, aren't they adorable? That is so cute. Doesn't look as happy though here. Ooh, it's kind of piercing.
Is reality. Math is reality.
Shut up, kid.
Wow, the dad's got the touch. It reminds me of someone, Red's dad there. Can't place him. Maybe it'll come to me. So anyway, after the disaster that was the attempted debunking of our Globebusters show, I went on Skype and found Red and said, are you going to take down that video where you basically listen to 15% of what we said and just yell things like liar, idiot, retard, and call that debunking? I even pointed out an instance, which you'll soon see, and told him if he didn't take it down, I'd have to do a video pointing out his so-called honesty. Well, he told me to make it. He actually demanded it. Only thing is, I can't watch Red anymore. You'll see why after this video, but to let someone disrespect you as he does, and to keep trying to go back and be friendly, it's just at this point stupid. So this being my last video about him, I hope it shows everyone exactly who you are dealing with. What they call truth, and how sad it is what they have come to accept and deny. So let's begin. Again, we are dealing with Red's Rhetoric here, so I will do my best to censor the language, but there's really no chance. Also, at the end, there's a song, and it's not censored at all. So viewer or listener, beware. Alrighty?
I'm getting a disturbance in the force. I'm detecting my bullshit meter is tingling. It's the start of Globebusters, ladies and gentlemen.
This is the Globebusters.
Alright, let me explain to everyone the situation so that you can get some insight into the players in this game and why they act and think the way that they do. So we have Red and the gang there on the left, and when you want to know exactly what they think about a certain subject, say calculus, all you need to do is go to Wikipedia. There's your answer. Basically, they are just parrots and really serve no other real purpose. An example of where this line of thinking for them causes a little bit of problems is, say, 9/11, for example. Well, how do we know what Red and the gang think about 9/11? Simple, right? You go to Wikipedia, and what do you know? 19 box cutter-toting Arabs hijacked 3 planes. Well, what about Sandy Hook? Surely this gang, who considers themselves to be quite smart, understands and sees that Sandy Hook was a government false flag, correct? No, my friends. Wrong. Go to Wiki, that's where you get their belief. This is why Red only has 3,000 subs, because who wants to listen to someone tell everyone how honest he is when he cannot simply look at evidence and make his own conclusion based on that evidence. See, despite what these former members of humanity might say, they don't look for evidence. They look for others' evidence. Basically, they are capable of looking in a physics book or going to Wikipedia for their ideas or their thoughts. They also are capable of parroting whatever they're taught or told to parrot. The only thing really that they're capable of doing on their own is to sling the verbal diarrhea. So here's the point, that this group cannot think outside of the box. John, Bob, and I still use our brains and gather evidence and come to a conclusion, and sometimes we may be right, other times we may be wrong. But what we are doing is infinitely more useful and impressive than a room full of parrots. They are like a cheering squad for science. They are shells of human beings. You can only go forward by making mistakes. And if we are wrong, well, we prove that our current scientific method and our current science is correct in the process. If we are right, we help free the world from the hands of liars. And as for Red's group, they think that they know everything. Their mindset is already made up. For example, in their worldview, I cannot possibly have found anything new or noteworthy, because they ask for my evidence, but the only evidence that they accept is the evidence that science is already allowed to shape the current theory. I hope you can see what they're doing, and that they only allow current science into their brains. They think they actually sound smart, yet to us, they sound like buffoons. So while Red and his team are trapped inside the box with only in-box thinking, you have myself and John and Bob who are able to use our brains in a different way, to bring in information, to assess it, and make our own conclusions, and then test those conclusions, because it hasn't passed their specific scientific tests. All right, so here's a little story. Here's a little story I got to tell. Now, here's a little story I got to tell about this globe earth liar you know so well. It started way back, I think, last week when Red and his fanboys tried to debunk me. Well, Busters has an issue with the spinning sphere. We can't see how it spins the atmosphere. The earth has been scanned, the curve should be grand, but everywhere we measure, all we see is flat land. One main fact you need to see, there's no curve present across all the sea. The sun is very close, you can count on that. The air is getting hot and the earth is very flat. So heads up to the girls and same to the guys. His name is MIA, but to his Redder I say bye.
Alright, so guys, just so you guys know, this is going to be a live debunking of Mr. Flat Earth, bullshitters, globebusters.
They got 375 people watching this crap already. I mean, we're dumb enough to be watching this. We can debunk it, but
yeah, we're gonna debunk it.
375 is like that. Actually, people that actually agree with these.
Agree,
or is it mostly like not people that do?
I mean, agree is going to be putting it rather loosely, but I guess some people just like to watch a train wreck. But yeah, they do have that many viewers. But like I said, it was brought to my attention that they're going to bring up some math, and that's the only reason I'm here. So, yeah.
That'd be a first.
Yeah, they're going to try and bring up some math to try and say that the Earth is flat. And, yeah, I'm going to pretty much guarantee that they're not going to actually give us anything of substance. In fact, I'm going to actually make a bet here that we'll be able to debunk it within the first 30 seconds of them actually getting to the fucking point.
Okay, so they're going to attempt to debunk our claims, and I understand that some people think that they know it all. And I understand that some people think that whatever they are told by people they think that are smarter than them must be the truth. But what these people don't get is that exact way of thinking can lead to deception. So here we have Red's Rhetoric, who likes to claim that he is intellectually honest, and as I'll show here shortly, he and his fanboy buddies are everything but honest. What would have been nice is if they would have simply heard our claims and our questions and then answered them. Debunk them if you will. Instead, we get exactly what everyone expected. We get a bunch of NASA fan groupies who can't listen, who don't understand, and can't even imagine how their heroes might not be right, or how these crazy flat earth idiots might actually make a great point. But problem number one, cheater method number one, rude, self-absorbed issue number one is that they didn't listen. They will simply tune out and then back in, and as I will show, they are debunking claims and positions that we didn't even make or take. Let's say I were to do the same thing and chose little individual claims of theirs to debunk.
Gravity has nothing to do with the shape of the fucking Earth.
Debunked. The sphere planet is because of gravity. Yes, got one. So you can see how easy that is, and I even debunked it with your own little bit of science. But I just happened to tune in just for that statement, so I debunked it.
Oh, sure. Debunking one claim doesn't make yours true.
Okay, that should be easy enough to remember. So just because you debunk one claim doesn't make the other ones true. Gotcha.
Gravity has nothing to do with the shape of the fucking Earth.
Debunked. That's two. Oh, it doesn't count if you debunk the same one twice? Oh, interesting.
If no one has done it before, you can't do it.
Debunked. No one's ever made this video I'm making right now, and I'm about to do it. So debunk that one too. Next.
That building is taller than that building. That means the bigger building doesn't exist.
Debunked, and I'm giving myself 2 points for that one because of how stupid it was. Next. Now, I would hope and assume that everyone listening would agree that what I just did in my little debunking exercise was not intellectually honest. It should kind of make you feel gross. What was I doing? I was taking things out of context. I was giving myself points for things that were not debunking points. And now you're going to see how the intellectually honest science watchers, science fanboys, debunked our show. To start with, let's listen to Red debunk something and give himself 3 points for it.
Wait a minute, didn't Cool Logic already debunk this crap with the planes and the fucking gravity thing?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did. All right, so I'm going to count that as 3 right there because Cool Logic did a good job.
All right, and before I go on and show you some more of the most blatant dishonest actions by everyone over there in the Scientism Club, I wanted to also point out that I don't care how many points Red's Rhetoric gives himself. It doesn't matter. But you can't go around claiming to everyone how intellectually honest you are and everything you do is in all honesty, and then act like a total jackass in a show where you're supposedly debunking the Globebusters show. So in this first one here, you'll hear Bob talking. They tune in late. They try and pick up on what he's saying. Then they jump to their own conclusions about what he's talking about. So let's listen to how they treat Bob's explanation of something here, and whether or not they really had any idea what he was talking about at all.
Velocity is anywhere near, 17,500 miles an hour or 15,002. But if it is, then I would think that a variation of over 2,000 miles an hour in forward velocity, as stated by NASA in their own pages, would either shoot that thing out into space or cause it to come plunging.
Is he talking about the moon's orbit when dealing with the Earth-Moon system as a whole around the sun?
I think he's talking about the moon's orbit being an ellipse, and therefore having a change in velocity during its path.
As it goes around, it's going to speed up and slow down. Yeah.
Apparently, the guy doesn't understand the difference between apoapse and periapse. And also, isn't it the case that most orbits are elliptical?
Yeah, you're not going to find a stable circular orbit. It's going to be.
If a stable circular orbit exists, good luck finding it. That's like the proverbial needle in the cosmic.
Well, yeah, because
right? So apparently his issue is that, but whatever the case may be, apparently he doesn't understand orbital mechanics too. So that was another easy one to debunk.
All right, so it looks like they said that Bob was talking about the moon's orbit, the moon-Earth system around the sun. Somebody else said no, he was talking about the moon's orbit being an ellipse and the change in velocity, that it speeds up and slows down, and apparently he doesn't understand orbital mechanics or what he's talking about, and they debunked it. But we should try one other thing. Let's listen just for a second to see if maybe Bob told us what he's talking about.
You start looking at the NASA pages on orbital dynamics, and specifically I was looking at the orbital dynamics of the ISS, and I was completely befoozled because when I was looking at the speeds for the International Space Station, they ranged anywhere from 15,200 miles an hour to 17,500 miles, and these are directly from NASA. And I'm thinking to myself, Well, how is that possible? Because if gravity is just a little bit less at 250 miles up where it is, instead of 9.8 meters per second squared, it's like 9.5 meters per second squared, then essentially the idea behind the orbital mechanics is that in order for it to stay in orbit, it has to be moving forward at a velocity that is commensurate with the velocity that it is falling down, correct? So as I'm looking at that, it's like, well, first of all, I don't believe that the vertical velocity is anywhere near 17,500 miles an hour or 15,002, but if it is, then I would think that a variation of over 2,000 miles an hour in forward velocity, as stated by NASA in their own pages.
So that's certainly interesting. So Red debunked what? Because Bob was talking about the International Space Station. He mentioned it 4 times in that little run, and yet he was debunked because they thought he was talking about the moon's orbit or the moon-Earth system around the sun, or the moon's orbit is an ellipse and the change in velocity, and he was too stupid to realize that, and he didn't know what he was talking about, and he doesn't understand orbital mechanics. Is that intellectually honest? Ladies and gentlemen, you tell me. Here's me asking questions about Saturn. Can somebody explain to me the rings of Saturn, which are tiny ice rock pebbles that are in orbit but have never degraded? And none of them, I guess, if one of them moved out of line and they like make colorful bands somehow, and if one little rock got moved out of line, then it would bump into another one, which would cause chaos and all the rings would be gone. That, plus it's got 62 moons. And they say that one of them's bigger than Mercury. So you're telling me that the moons in orbit never throw off these little rocks that are the rings? And then they've got 16 moons that keep the face towards Saturn. The rest of them don't. And a bunch of them orbit the opposite way. So explain to me how anybody...
the ring, and sorry to interrupt you, but the rings of Saturn to me is a really good, simple example of how preposterous orbital mechanics are in a heliocentric model. And what I mean is the rings of Saturn maintain a perfect plane of orbit around the planet. Right? So now that makes some sense if you consider the planet to be stationary. But we all know that the planets are anything but stationary, due to their rotational orbital velocities, the sun's orbital velocity, the galaxy's velocity. So they're not stationary, and yet somehow, while gravity should be an inward pulling force from all directions, we see consistently throughout the heliocentric cosmology that gravitation, bodies in orbit tend to, or actually always, maintain a perfect plane of orbit relative to their host. So, this is just preposterous. Gravity does not explain this whatsoever.
No, there's no way. It's just, when you talk about the orbits of those, there's no way that they would be able to stay consistent and that they would be able to calculate anything. All right, and here comes the debunking. Notice one of the people says, have you ever heard of Saturn? You ever heard of Saturn? Even though that's what I'm talking about.
His nose, and it's just not.
Wait, did he just use mathematically as a negative thing?
Yeah, exactly. The thing is that when we describe the things mathematically, we actually take the other moons into account, and their effect on those planetary bodies is almost none, considering that the gravitationally dominant body in the system is, Saturn.
Saturn, not ever.
Hopefully you're starting to see how people who believe in science debunk those who question it.
It would be interesting with all that 60 some odd moons that it has. What would the orbital dynamics? What would the equation look like for that? And of course, it would be continuously changing. I mean, it would take a fleet of supercomputers to actually figure that out. It just becomes.
I could do it right now.
What did Red say?
It just becomes.
I could do it right now.
You can figure out the orbital mechanics of the 62 moon and ring system of Saturn? Go ahead. I will call with the most resounding echo Bullshit. 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 Bullshit.
I could do it right now.
But I mean, for a simple three-body diagram, this is not that complicated.
Yeah, three-body diagram is not going to be that complicated. Not only that, but the rings of Saturn are only in the way of how many moons? And all of them are actually really, really, really small. As
10
in,
or so, I think.
As in not gravitationally dominant, especially when you're dealing with something like the size of Saturn. I don't think understand how big Saturn actually is.
So they're making everything sound easy. 3-body diagram, even though we were talking about a 65-body diagram. Just more nonsense and Wikipedia parroting. On to the next one. Explanation for this, but with the inverse square law, which says that the distance of separation is proportional by the inverse square of the brightness, or its intensity. It also works for gravity. It's the equation they use for all that stuff. But basically, the way that I see it and the way that I understand it is when you half the distance of your location away from a light source, that the brightness reduces or increases, if you're halving the distance, increases 4 times. So meaning if we're talking about the moon being 240,000 miles away, and let's just call it 1,000 lumens. So from the Earth, we're looking at the moon, it's 1,000 lumens, 240,000 miles away. If we go half that distance to 120,000 miles, then it's 4 times as bright. So it'd be 4,000 lumens. But then you half the distance again, you're at 60,000 miles. Now you're at 16,000 lumens. So if you keep breaking that down, when you get down to 1 mile, so when you're as close as Buzz Aldrin was or Neil Armstrong before they landed, you would be at 68 trillion lumens. So it's blind. It's an equation. Yeah, it's 68 billion times more bright. So think back at the pictures of the moon and them landing on the moon. Was it 68 billion times as bright as we see it from Earth? What a joke.
It was 68 billion times as fake as we see it from Earth.
You'd be at 68 trillion lumens.
No, that's not how the inverse square law works. You. Oh my
Also,
god.
even if it did, they wouldn't be seeing the entire moon.
Yeah, you
You're
can't
not
get
getting illumination of the
land on
entire
it.
moon in one view, right? And
Seriously.
where you're looking at.
It's based on the amount of surface area you can see. If you're on the surface, you can only see a very small amount of it.
Yeah, exactly.
What do they think? You have the entire surface area, of the entire moon in your visual range, like when you're sitting on the moon? How does that work?
Yeah, the whole half of the moon, yeah.
I mean, keep in mind,
Yeah,
we're talking about the physical quantity or intensity. There's 2 parts to that. You have to look at how much moon is in your vision, and then you have to look at how far you are away. As you get closer to the moon, yes, it will get brighter, but you will be seeing less of it.
Yeah, light intensity is based upon your how much energy you have per unit area.
Exactly.
I mean,
See? See how that shit works, Chisholm? When you actually pay attention to the definition of the inverse square law? God.
All right, a lot of name calling, a lot of laughing, a lot of hee-haw, knee slapping. Let's take a look at this, okay? We're going to look at 240,000 miles distance from the moon. We're here on Earth. And from this distance, we'll say that we have 1,000 lumens of brightness. Okay, we go half the distance in our little rocket ship. We're now 120,000 miles from it. And 4 times the brightness means we're now 4,000 lumens brightness. And again, we can see the whole entire moon. Okay, let's go a little bit further in our rocket ship. Now we're at 60,000 miles from the moon, and we 4 times it again, so we're at 16,000 lumens. And we can see the entire moon. Correct? Scientism folk? All right, let's continue. Now let's break it all the way down and go to 30,000, 15,000, 7,500, 3,750, 1,875, and stop at 937 miles from the moon. We would see the entire moon. Okay, the lumens would be 65,536,000. Okay, divide both those by 1,000, and the moon should be 65,536 times as bright when you're looking at the entire moon from 937 miles away. Should look something like this. Who's laughing, who's hee-hawing, and who just realized that their model makes no sense? That would be you. I'll take the apology. Well, what am I kidding? You'll never apologize.
So 45 minutes and we haven't seen any math whatsoever. We've just seen what the inverse square law was. Fuck gravity is. On not understanding angular size. Royally, absolutely, without a shot about the International Space Station, the physics that make it possible.
I'm not sure if I chalk up the cussing to a pathetic lack of vocabulary or a deep-seated desire to be important. Sounds ridiculous.
Well, I don't
Well,
think any
let's
one of
listen
these
in.
guys have taken a physics course.
No.
Never.
That I liked.
Hey, smart guy. The physics class would be the problem. Have you not realized that yet? Wow. Again, and the reason I'm doing this video, because I'm done with these guys. I couldn't possibly spend another minute listening to any of them. But I'm trying to pass this on to you so you realize who it is that is debunking the flat earth and how they're going about it. And you can see for yourself. These people are totally intellectually honest. Now, this is where things get interesting. I want you to listen carefully to the conversation that Bob and I have about the Chapecoense plane flight crash that happened in Brazil, the Brazilian soccer team. Listen to what we're talking about, listen to the things I say about it, and then listen to the way the scientism fans assume that I said something completely different. But try and listen carefully to both what I'm saying and then how they go about telling me how wrong I am.
Okay, yeah, it's basically about the soccer team, I guess, that got in a plane wreck. But the thing that blew me away was, the fuel capacity of that airplane. It didn't even have enough fuel capacity to make it to their destination. How in the world could anybody make a mistake like that?
Yeah, it's really sad. And come to find out, I know more stuff's even coming out last night and today that it looks like, because this guy was the pilot was a co-owner of that airlines. And Bob, you might be able to attest to this, but from what I've heard, that if you ever make a fuel emergency call, that you will get an investigation from, the board, because basically you're putting people on, in jeopardy. And so it is possible that he didn't want to call in a fuel emergency because he never actually made an official Mayday call until it was much too late. And basically, I guess I also heard that he was told at the airport that, hey, you've got on your flight manifest, you're showing 4 hours and 22-minute flight, but it's also the maximum fly time for this plane, for this trip. And they told him you don't have enough fuel, and he left anyway. And so, it's also, I guess, that they were running behind, something to do with somebody's video game or something at the airport. I don't know. But they were running behind, and so on the flight path, there's another airport where they could have stopped for gas, but because that airport is closed at night and they left too late, that's why they basically got within 8 miles of the airport and ran out. And it certainly looks like this is a murder, absolutely, without a doubt, that the pilot is responsible for the 70+ people who died. And if you go over to Clues Forum, I saw last night, they're claiming it's a hoax, and it really saddens me that to be part of a truth community to where, and I'm the first one, I've gone out and said different things are a hoax. San Bernardino's a hoax, the Orlando thing, Sandy Hook, because when you watch and you look into the footage and you really look into what happened and the response by emergency teams, it is glaringly obvious when we've got things that are faked. And this is one where right when I heard it, I said, I think this is probably a lie. This is probably fake. And started looking into it, and right away just said, nope, everything's adding up. You could look at the pictures that took out the plane, hit the side of this hill, slid up the hill, took out several trees, slid back down. You look into this is a whole entire soccer team. This is not 50 made up people who live in, supposedly are at some Orlando nightclub that nobody can account for. And there's no ambulances there. And I mean, these people are they're people from a soccer team. They are families of a soccer team. There's reporters. There's, this was an actual accident. And everywhere I looked, because, I was never going to come out with a video until I was sure, and everything you look at, it absolutely is a legit thing. And, I was able to track the flight and see that you're right, that the maximum flight mileage for that plane, which is a Avro RJ85, the maximum flight distance was like 1,750 miles. And that trip was 1,860 miles. So it's like 110 miles longer than the plane should even have gone. Now, granted, they're not going to tell you when they say it only goes 1,750 that's exactly, I'm sure that they put a little leeway in there, but he went over that by 110 miles. And I equate it to, and maybe you guys can attest to this, but do you remember driving as a kid when you were 16 or 17 or 20? And if you've never run out of gas before, you kind of always felt like, man, this thing will never run out of gas. And I think
you can run on fumes for a while, yeah.
Right, but then you ran out of gas at some point. I don't know about you, but I have.
Yep.
One time in my life where you ran out of gas and you realized, oh, So the car will run out of gas, eventually. It just, that's why you don't test it so much.
Again, these are the kind of things where the pilots become negligent, I think, because everything is becoming automated. And in fact, one of the things that I'm going to be talking about with this Wolfie 6020 video is it's amazing how much the pilots do seem to rely on autopilot. I mean, they don't seem to fly planes anymore. They just let they take off, flip a switch, and start the bridge game, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, because you've got so many lives in your hands, and for this guy, I mean, his dad died in a plane crash when he was 1 year old. So I mean, it's like you would think that these kind of people would be extra careful, and you can just tell that he wasn't anywhere near as careful as one should be when you have that many lives on it. It makes me, really sick that to know that that's how little they care for other people. And I understand. I mean, I respect pilots so much because they do have that weight on their shoulders, and they probably are not paid, compensation wise what they deserve. Same thing. Certainly, this situation is real, and if anybody thinks they have evidence to prove otherwise, other than you can go to Clues Forum and read some of the stuff that they're saying, and it's the most ridiculous display of nonsense I've ever seen, and it just really upsets me because these are the same people calling us out and saying that we're disinformation agents that work for NASA or whatever. Whatever their reasons be, but then they go on a case like this and call it fake. It's pretty pathetic. So in summary, I said that the event was absolutely real, that I was disgusted with those who didn't look into it enough to say that it wasn't, that Clues Forum was out there saying that it was a hoax, and I thought that was a joke. That was my point. Let's listen to the debunking.
Yes.
The soccer team, I guess, that got in a plane wreck, but the thing that blew me away was, the fuel capacity.
Oh God, are we gonna do a soccer team crash conspiracy now?
Yes, we are.
How in the world could anybody make a mistake like that?
Yeah, it's really sad. And come to find out, I know more stuff's even coming out last night than today.
Shit happens.
It looks like because this guy was a pilot.
No, they don't believe that. Everything is planned.
From what I've heard, clowns, I'm saying that the event was real. Hello, clowns. From what I've heard, that if you ever make a fuel emergency call, that you will get an investigation.
Government plan for them.
Because basically, you're putting people on, in jeopardy, and so it is possible that he didn't want to call in a fuel emergency because he never actually made an official Mayday call until it was much too late. And basically, I guess I also heard that he was told at the airport that, hey, you've got on your flight.
Are they talking about that plane crash where the guy ran out of fuel?
Yeah.
Because he took it on upon himself, did not think. Did he get fuel ahead of time? Oh, that he thought he had enough? Yeah. What's that got to do with flat Earth?
It's a conspiracy.
They took him out because they knew the truth that the Earth is not flat.
Because he was about to reveal how he doesn't have to dip his nose down as he's flying. He's about to come out to the whole world about that. So they just
he understood the relationship between potential energy and kinetic energy.
Intellectual honesty. The airport and ran out, and it certainly looks like this is a murder. Absolutely.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Wow.
Responsible for the 70+ people who died. And
all right, I'm going to count that as number 11.
Aren't you guys ashamed that just a few days after I released my video, it came out that it was a murder, which means I was completely 100% right, and you clowns are wrong? Believe me, I know it's shocking because you're not capable of doing it. But somebody can take a bunch of evidence and then they can make up their own mind and come out publicly with their real name and make a statement based on the evidence that they researched. I know you guys aren't capable of that. I know you have to wait for permission from Wikipedia. You have to wait for scientific papers to be written and it to be peer reviewed because heaven forbid you ever thought for yourself. None of you guys have had an original thought probably ever. At all. Certainly not Red's Rhetoric. That's for sure. Nothing original there. Hiding behind a keyboard with his voice synthesizer, calling people names, cussing up a storm, saying he would say things to people's face. He wouldn't say anything to anyone's face because he would end up on the floor. He knows it, and that's why he hides.
Yeah.
Well, you could reach through the screen.
Considering the investigation is already concluded, and yeah, it's pretty much clear it was an accident, not a fucking
Never let
murder.
a good tragedy go to waste or conspiratard.
Yeah, never let a good tragedy go to waste. If you're a conspiratard, jump on that shit as soon as you can.
That's so sad. Let me rape it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and keep clicking that clicker, Mr. Red's Rhetoric. One day, maybe you'll lose that vagina, get some balls, so you two can come out and say something that someone else hasn't said first. Just like I did the research and said, this looks like a murder. And you guys all laugh your asses off because Wikipedia hasn't said this yet. The investigation said it's an accident. Well, I told you it was a murder, and it ended up being a murder because I have balls and I stand behind my word and I say it with my real name. What can you say for yourself, Red's Rhetoric? I tape rockets.
At some Orlando nightclub that nobody can account for, and there's no.
And bringing up Orlando, yet another conspiratard, nonsensical bullshit.
Do you still not realize yet that I am saying that the plane crash was real? Listen. Clowns. Hopefully there's a lot of people out there that have done the research on Sandy Hook and some of these events, and you can look at Red's Rhetoric and realize that he is not capable of even looking at that evidence. He has not been given permission from Wikipedia or the scientific community to question that. That's called a slave, a parrot, a waste of space. The earth would not miss you if you were gone, Red's Rhetoric, and not at all. If you guys are with me on this one, go ahead and comment in the comment section, #Red's Pathetic.
They have class. You have to give them that.
Because I was never going to come out with a video until I was sure, and everything you look at, it absolutely is a legit thing. And I was able.
And that's a lie.
And see that you're right.
Yeah, keep calling me a liar while you hide behind your computer screen, little boy.
150 miles, and that.
And people wonder why Jism is now the current dumb fuck of the year. It's sad he's going to have to hand over the title to somebody else, and it's actually pretty sad because I actually enjoyed this year of Jism being dumb fuck of the year. It's actually going to be pretty difficult for me to hand over the title to Antonio.
Look, he will.
You won't have to worry about that.
Just remember, he will always be the dumb fuck in your heart.
Exactly. He's a dumb fuck in your soul, inside all of us.
Right, but then you ran out of gas.
We have all been touched by Jism stupid.
We all have been Jism covered. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, don't feel bad. He might get dumb fuck of the decade, so don't.
I got touched by Jism. Be like, what? All right, let's listen in.
This situation is real, and if anybody thinks they have evidence to prove otherwise, other than you can go to Clues Forum and read some of the stuff.
No, not Clues Forum.
Ridiculous.
Fucking conspirator website that fucking Pete Shea goes to.
Blues Clues is
wait, that's his kitchen.
Wait, did he say Blues Clues?
I said Blues Clues.
Is that where he's getting his math skills from?
I think so.
So, if you're wondering why I've decided to completely ignore that group going forward, rewind the tape about 10 minutes and listen again to what was just said about me that was 100% incorrect, and they laugh and joke and have a great old time at my expense incorrectly. And these people call themselves intellectually honest. So if anybody, even if you're on that side, if you're a Glober, if you're on the fence, if anybody listens to anything else these guys put out, I'm baffled how you can allow somebody to just get up there and lie and make false accusations and make a mess of a situation, all because they didn't feel like listening and felt like listening to their own selves talk in their own head. Disgusting. Let's hear another one. Got that Don Pettit saying that if there was a leak in the ISS, well, I guess they would have a procedure. And this is coming from somebody who's been up there for longer than a year in space. And when somebody asks him, what would you do if there was a leak? And he says, well, I guess there would be a procedure if there was a leak. That would be the number one training day. Day one. This is what happens when we have a leak.
Right.
Yeah. Space station, how many of these would you have?
7, because we have 7 windows.
What happens if you get a leak on that?
Then you have a leak.
You just have a leak.
And what you would do is
lose air.
Yeah, you would probably seal the whole cupola off. And then there's probably a plan, I don't know off the top of my head, but there's probably a plan for replacing the mechanism. Might require space.
And when somebody asks him, what would you do if there was a leak? And he says, well, I guess there would be a procedure if there was a leak. That would be the
If there was a
#1
leak, you would
training day.
seal off the place where there's a leak.
There is a procedure.
Yeah, there is a procedure. It's seal it off and get the fuck to safety.
We don't put things into space
without procedures
and not plan.
He's trying to discredit him by pointing out that he said, I guess.
I guess. Yeah, no. It's not a guess that there's a procedure. There actually is a procedure, and it's seal it off because unlike what these guys think, there are hatches. That's number 12.
Look how dumb you are. That you even know the procedure better than the astronaut, yet you don't realize they're faking space right in your face. Frickin' clowns.
Then you have a leak. You just have a leak. And what you would do is lose air. Yeah, you would probably seal the whole cupola off. And then there's probably a plan, I don't know off the top of my head, but there's probably a plan for replacing the mechanism. Might require spacewalk.
Again, maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. We're pointing out interesting factoids that other scientism fans ignore. They think they know the answer. They don't. That person's been in space 370 days and doesn't know the procedure if there's a leak and doesn't know off the top of his head what happens. You probably will do this. You probably will do that. Pretty sure that if space were real and people were on the ISS, day one of training would be, this is what we do when there's a leak.
But wasn't it Jism that said that the lenses were curved to make planets look curved?
Yeah.
Laugh it up, guys. Makes you look so foolish. I had a Dobsonian telescope just like this one on the screen. When you take off the lens cap, which is the lens piece, the eyepiece, they look like this. If you simply hold them up to your eye, the items that appear in it are curved. They are sphered. I don't know how this doesn't make sense to you. I don't know why you feel like laughing at it. It's reality. Go get a telescope, take off the eyepiece, and look through it. At your car, at your house, at a leaf. Does it make it into a total sphere? No. It gives it a rounded appearance, curving away from you like a sphere. So why would I want to use that to look into the sky? Because all it's going to do is take any bit of starlight, any planet light, any moonlight, and it's going to give it the appearance to me of a sphere curving away from me. Wake up, jackasses.
This is a huge deception, and it's spread all over, and it's noticeable. Well, once you realize what they're up to, everywhere you look, it shows itself.
Typical Jism.
Did he just try to say that the curvature of the Earth is because of the curved airplane windows again?
Oh no!
That's part of the conspiracy.
God damn it!
Let me address that real fast.
55.
If the curvature was caused by the curved airplane windows, it would look curved while you're on the ground.
What would look curved on the ground? The horizon? Dude, Hufford, go back to Walmart and realize that's where you belong, not talking about big boy things. Just because you can say words doesn't mean that you should. I'd keep that mouth shut. It's not helping you.
Uh-huh.
No. They adjust the windows as you go
they
up.
adjust.
The windows have automatic adjustments as you change altitude.
This is really a frustrating video to put together. Sad that these kind of people exist, spending 3 hours lying while calling others liars. Really sad. These guys really think that they have all the answers and that no one else could possibly know something that they don't. My point was, and remains, that the curvature of Earth cannot be seen mathematically until 60,000 feet. And being that 99% of people have never been that high, yet many of them say they have seen the curvature of the Earth from an airplane window, led me to research airplane windows. And guess what I found? There is one company that provides the crystal view windows for planes for all plane manufacturers. One company. The name of that company is GKN Aerospace, and they produce all the cockpit and the passenger windows for all passenger jets, including all Boeing, all the A300s. And you guys keep wanting to laugh about what's part of a conspiracy and what's not. Just know that GKN Aerospace, the same company that provides all the windows, is thinking now of doing away with windows and installing TV screens that will show virtual images of what's outside the plane. I'm sure that's just normal too. Has nothing to do with hiding anything from anyone. I'm sure there's no reason to look into it, no reason to question it. Science has got it all handled.
Every year, 3.1 billion people fly around the world to relax, to seal a deal, for adventure, and for love. Using 80 billion gallons of fuel and producing over 705 million tons of CO2. But what if you could enjoy the journey, not just the destination? If removing the windows could open your eyes more than ever before, reducing weight and reducing cost for you and for the manufacturer. Our technologies can support the development of aircraft fuselage that are thinner, lighter, and stronger. With wider seating for passengers, lower fuel consumption, and reduced CO2 emissions. With live video streamed to vivid OLED displays offering seamless panoramic views and entertainment, information, and in-flight services at your fingertips. It's time to start your journey your way.
You better go research on why they would put displays instead of windows in, because I'm sure that the website will tell you about increased passenger room or lighter planes, and then you can come tell us all about your great research that you found out why those displays are going in, because it could never be something else. Conspiracy? You mean people getting together and hiding things from other people? Huh, conspiratards.
Different density of the atmosphere.
Windows are just 5K TVs.
Oh, God.
No, it's the same programmable glass they use in telescopes.
It's Google Glass. It projects the landscape.
Wow, holy shit.
And that's why it confuses me.
So I've been showing you the intellectual honesty of Red for the last hour. Now let's see how he addresses Bob towards the end of our show.
Ignored him till the end.
You ignore the fact that there is a direct balance between potential and kinetic energy. You ignore the fact that that is going to naturally allow you to follow the Earth's curvature. And you ignore the fact that any adjustment will reset your starting point. You lying piece of... So that last part was an insult. That first part was fact against your bullshit. Suck it.
They do seem rather duplicitous, to say the least.
Seriously.
Is everybody real impressed by Red's rhetoric? How he cusses people out and challenges them from behind a keyboard with his keyboard warrior gloves on and his synthesized mic? Because here's the thing, Red likes to dish it out. He likes to be able to cuss and act tough, but he knows if he did it in person with his real name or his real face, he'd get his ass kicked. Are you impressed? I am. All right, we're down to just one more so-called debunking. And you can see what happens when you challenge someone's religion. Watch the response by simply me stating that the universe might have a preferred direction. That's it. That's all I say. Watch the response by people who are so in love with their atheism, they can't possibly imagine that they could have been wrong. Enjoy.
Yeah, what it seems to me is that the reason why things aren't coming out in astronomy right now, like the background map, the microwave background, is because it proves that there is a top and bottom in space.
What?
Oh, no!
59.
Oh, no, God, there's large anti-entropies in the CMB, but it doesn't have an orientation.
It does not have an orientation.
And it's not directed toward the sun. It's not toward the elliptical plane. It's actually 10 degrees off.
Whoa! What a fucking idiot! The orientation is simply the orientation that we have accepted is simply the orientation of the spacecraft at the time it took the fucking image. You fucking idiot!
Do they think there's some kind of preferred orientation in space?
Oh my god, that was such a fucking point. Okay. When we do have our dumb fuck of the year fucking thing, we're gonna make that comment an honorable mention. Somebody write that shit down. The CMB proved that space has a top and bottom. JISM 2016.
You sure you don't want to put him on the dumb fuck of the year?
Oh, I
we could take off Darwin's. You can put him on. I'm fine with that.
No. He's already dumb fuck of the year. He's gonna have to change. He still has that title for at least the next month, and he fucking deserves it right now.
We're gonna discuss that after your debunking.
Uh-huh.
You're saying gravity doesn't exist. I mean, think about what scientific testing is supposed to do. I've heard Lawrence Krauss say it 1,000 times. As soon as something is proven wrong in the lab, you kick it out. You throw it out. It's proven false. Guess what? They've proven false.
That's not how that works.
The universe.
Just kidding.
Bullshit.
So what did they do? Did they kick it out? Of course not, because if you kick it out, we don't live on a ball anymore. There's no
for fuck's sake.
Oh my gosh.
Gravity has nothing to do with the shape of the fucking Earth. Number 60.
97%.
Well, he's formation of it.
Saying
But...
that scientists
and people like.
Oh my gosh, it's so stupid.
I know.
He's saying that he's saying that one negative result will in a lab will equal throwing the whole thing out. Which
it doesn't work that way either.
That's not how it works. And then he goes on to say that they're only keeping the results because they're part of some kind of conspiracy.
Science can prove things to be absolutely false. That's how science progresses, because an idea that disagrees with the evidence of experiment is false. And it's false today, and it'll be false tomorrow. I can hold a ball up, I can predict that it will fall up, I check it falls down. That idea I throw out the window. I could say...
The CMB proves the universe has a top and bottom. JISM 2016.
I have that written down.
All right, good. All right,
Yeah.
let's
worth
listen
an honorable.
to this. Let's listen to this
That
shit.
is definitely worth an honorable.
I think this is sort of similar to saying that there is like sort of an ultimate up and down in the universe, or towards
What?
such extremes.
If there was an up and down to the universe, we would not know which way that was.
Yeah, what would we reference it to?
Literally, the reference of the CMB was literally at the reference point relative to this fucking spacecraft.
That's just how it
61
happened to be at that time.
Yeah, what would we reference a top down to be? I mean, if I said up in space, how the hell are you going to know what the hell that means?
Again, what happens to Red when you challenge his religion? He throws a little tantrum.
The orientation is simply the orientation that we have accepted is simply the orientation of the spacecraft at the time it took the fucking image. You fucking idiot.
Do they think there's some kind of preferred orientation in space?
Oh my god, that was such a fucking point. Okay. Oh my god, that was such a fucking point. Okay. Oh my god, that was such a fucking point. Okay. Gravity has nothing to do with the shape of the fucking Earth.
Jeez, relax, Red. Heard you breaking things, knocking things over. Relax. And gravity has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth?
Gravity has nothing to do with the shape of the fucking Earth.
Anyone? I have no comment on that. I do, though, have a comment on Mr. Intellectual Dishonesty's claim that the orientation of the CMB is based off the orientation of the spacecraft at the time it took the image. That is hilariously wrong. And the lies and the complete stupidity, not to mention the rage fits, are certainly adding up. Citation needed, Mr. Rhetoric. You might want to check those facts, because they've actually taken that picture 3 times now. So I guess they magically put the spacecraft into the exact same orientation 3 times in a row. Wake up, kids. Now relax and watch all these scientists tell you how you're absolutely, positively wrong, and a liar, and a fool.
The oldest light in the universe, according to the Big Bang Theory, is the cosmic microwave background, the leftover radiation from the Big Bang itself. The only source of radiation we've ever discovered that comes to us from all directions of the sky.
The cosmic microwave background is the afterglow of the Big Bang. It's the radiation coming at us from the Big Bang, the leftover radiation. It's amazing. In fact, it's highly visible in a sense, but it wasn't discovered until 1965.
This background radiation should be isotropic. It should define no special direction in the universe, and certainly not one related in any way.
One looked like, that one looked even more crazy. It had this big band, like a pancake across the sky. And it was lined up with what came out when I had typed in 2. Like, whoa, what is going on here? So we mentioned this sort of in passing at the end of our paper, that there was this funny alignment which later got dubbed the axis of evil. And we did another paper and realized that it's actually quite unlikely that it's just a fluke. And then later on, other people, like Dragan Hutterer and many others, picked up on this and did much more careful studies and found that actually there was nothing wrong in my computer program, and the effect was there, and even more strongly so than we had guessed.
When you look at the cosmic microwave background, it's uniform in all directions, which is what you'd expect for the universe, in fact. Another bit of evidence that there really was a Big Bang. But there have been some anomalies.
There's one point about it that the radiation isn't exactly isotropic, it's almost.
So they sent up a satellite and they find out, wow, there's anisotropies out there. It's not smooth. Not only did they find anisotropies, what they found was that these anisotropies, these disturbances, these temperature disturbances throughout the universe were all pointing to the Earth.
This is if you just look at the galaxies out there in the universe.
The fundamental principles of cosmology is the Copernican principle that we believe that the Earth does not occupy a special position.
Yet, there is this very special direction imprinted in these baby pictures of the universe. And it's pretty clear now, since many different groups have hammered at this, that it's real, it's in there in the data. What's much less clear is what it means.
The cosmic microwave background alignments do not define a center, but instead an axis, a preferred direction spanning the entire universe. The fact that these alignments are correlated to our own neighborhood is highly difficult to explain from within the assumptions of Big Bang cosmology. The dipole, which is aligned with our equinox, is usually attributed to a relative motion between our solar system and the cosmic background itself. However, the quadrupole and octopole alignments are also with respect to the ecliptic, the plane of the orbit of the planets around the sun.
Some people have actually suggested that there's structure in the cosmic microwave background radiation that's related to where the Earth is and how it's going around the sun, which is crazy.
But when you look at the CMB map, you also see that the structure that is observed is, in fact, in a weird way, correlated with the plane of the Earth around the sun. Is this Copernicus coming back to haunt us? That's crazy. We're looking out at the whole universe. There's no way there should be a correlation of structure with our motion of the Earth around the sun, the plane of the Earth around the sun, the ecliptic. That would say we are truly the center of the universe.
You see the resistance there, you know, that if you, like a heretic, you know, you come out and you say, hey, no, this is not right. There is evidence that this cosmological principle, this idea that we're not in any special place in the universe, there's something wrong with that.
That whole cosmic microwave background is pointing to us, this tiny little space in the universe, and that happens to be where we live.
This map is a goldmine of information.
The stakes were high. If Planck were to confirm the existence of the axis of evil, it could mean the foundational principle of modern cosmology, the Copernican principle, is wrong. Planck was expected by many to show instead that the strange CMB axis of evil was nothing more than foreground contamination, or a scanning beam anomaly somehow missed by the WMAP team.
Oh, this is so awesome. And the axis of evil is obviously there because all the big spots are in the same places. So all these puzzling anomalies have survived. And the axis of evil is still with us. And we have to actually ask us what it means.
But what about the alignments with the ecliptic and equinoxes, which Lawrence Krauss had said would mean we were really the center of the universe? So now we're in a position to look at the entire microwave sky. First, we introduce the multipoles. The dipole, usually attributed to a relative motion between our local system and the CMB itself. The quadrupole, the north and south ecliptic poles, and the spring and fall equinoxes. The S-shaped line represents the plane of the ecliptic, the plane of the orbit of the planets around the sun. Notice how it neatly divides warm and cold sections of the CMB map. This is our first hint that something very unusual is going on.
We can spin up to 12,000 plus RPM because we have the advantage of electric motors, yada, 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 and not to mention modern aircraft avionics. And none of these gyros show any precession, period. None.
Because they're designed not to.
Because they're designed.
Why would you?
Razor here. What is the Occam's razor?
Engineers are too stupid to design that kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
And Occam's razor is only used when you have two competing theories to see which one has less assumptions, if they're parsimonious.
Well, very soon we'll be having a pilot, a flight instructor who will be taking a regular gyroscope up on a flight, and we will be spinning it for 30 minutes. And just like the ones on the screen, these gyros have no inner design to not show precession. So keep laughing. Proof coming.
Except their fucking bullshit is made out of lies, no assumptions there, just flat out fucking
Yeah,
lies.
well, you
And
don't use
ours is
Occam's
made on
razors or something like that.
Yeah, you don't use Occam's razors for that.
I mean, really,
I refer back to the Occam's baseball bat.
Yeah, I like that better. Occam's baseball
Yeah.
bat.
Occam's warhammer.
Emptiness of nothingness that's curved by matter, and then you've got the law that says that there's got to be an equal and opposite reaction. So if matter is bending,
What?
space,
What?
space bends
Did
matter.
he just say that?
Ism's just going down rabbit hole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's you know what? Let's see where it goes. I'm curious now.
One directional pull, and I still don't understand for the life of me. At least physicists like George Ellis, Stephen Hawking, people that will admit flat out they have no problem admitting that every decision they've made has been philosophically based. So all I expect from people who believe in the globe, admit that it is a religion. That's all. Just admit.
All of your beliefs are based on
What the fuck is that?
And I,
Wow.
philosophy now equals religion, which is total bullshit.
Yeah, philosophy equals religion. Are you fucking kidding me? Wow. 67.
I'll put that at 60, 68.
Wow.
That's worth at least 2.
Holy shit. Okay, that's a religion? Palmage. Holy shit. Jism, this is why you won Dump of the Year.
I'm ready to vote for him for a second term.
Jeez.
Put him on the damn list, Red.
Hang
Put
on,
him
hang
on the
on.
list.
Let's listen.
we're basing our model off a philosophical base. Period. So just admit that and stop. You know, that's not calling us retards. That's saying
admit it.
You have a different philosophical idea, and it's
that which has evidence to back it up is the one I'm going to go with.
The idea that gravity doesn't work anymore, gone. All of our
The only philosophical position is science has to adhere to science to methodological naturalism. That's pretty much the philosophy of science.
Yeah, my philosophy is evidence.
My philosophy is evidence.
Philosophy equals religion. Like, I don't know, how you make good decisions. What is and isn't a fallacious argument. Oh my God.
Debates with Bill Sturger and others about just how much testability you need. But if you abandon testability, then I think you have left science and you are in the realm of philosophy. Now.
So take a moment, get your panties out of their bunches. And now listen up, because if you paid any attention, you'd understand. You think your belief in science or your philosophy is one of empiricism and testing and evidence. Yet even the people that are doing the testing are not that dishonest. Testing would mean that you're proving one model true and one model false. So listen carefully. There is no proof that the Earth is not the center of the universe. Rather, all evidence says it is. But the model that science has chosen has been based philosophically because of modesty and because they don't feel that there's a chance that we could be the center of the universe. It's a philosophically based scientific decision. So if a group of people who believe in a certain theory or idea or way of life, but it's not because of testing, but because of a dogma in their holy book, it's called what? A religion. Do you get it now? Your belief has nothing to do with testing, has nothing to do with evidence. It's based off modesty and the hate of an idea of a creator. The earth has been shown in numerous ways and in numerous tests and experiments to be the center of the universe. Let's see what Albert Einstein said. Soon I came to the conclusion that our idea about the motion of the earth with respect to the ether is incorrect, if we admit Michelson's null result as a fact. This was the first path which led me to the special theory of relativity. Since then, I have come to believe that the motion of the earth cannot be detected by any optical experiment. Next we have Edwin Hubble, who wrote in The Observational Approach to Cosmology that such a condition would imply that we occupy a unique position in the universe, analogous in a sense to the ancient conception of a central earth. The hypothesis cannot be disproved, but it is unwelcomed and would be accepted only as a last resort in order to save the phenomenon. Therefore, we disregard this possibility and consider the alternative, namely a distribution which thins out with distance. And Julian Barber says in his book, thus, even now, 3.5 centuries after Galileo's condemnation by the Inquisition, it is still remarkably difficult to say categorically whether the earth moves, and if so, in what precise sense. And lastly, George Ellis, who said, people need to be aware that there is a range of models that could explain the observations. For instance, I can construct for you a spherically symmetrical universe with Earth at its center, and you cannot disprove it based on observations. You can only exclude it on philosophical grounds. What I want to bring into the open is the fact that we are using philosophical criteria in choosing our models. A lot of cosmology tries to hide that. So I believe it was Red who once told me that reality did not need to conform to my wants and wishes. Well, Red, Kara, Sean, Micro Guy, Houseboy, other fanboys, hate to tell you, but reality doesn't need to conform to your wants and wishes. So I know that you want to be dicks. I know you want to pretend to be smart. I know you hope God doesn't exist and that we're all accidental. But sorry, guys. Looks like reality is crashing your party.
They do indeed teach a geocentric flat Earth cosmology. And
Flat Earth cosmology. There's no such thing.
Therefore,
So the universe is now flat?
Yeah.
Wait, what did you just question?
The universe is now flat?
Yeah.
Yes, the universe is flat. And perhaps you can read up on your model. Since I'm having to research my own, it's kind of hard for me to have to do my work and your work.
people believe something in the past, therefore it's true.
Exactly. That's basically what their argument is boiling down to. And 68.
These are really some intellectually honest debunks by Mr. Honesty himself, aren't they? I'm impressed.
A lot of people ask, what's the motive? And we see things like Pizzagate, which we hadn't even talked about tonight. But
I'm done. I'm done. Yes.
Did he just say Pizzagate?
He did. Pizzagate.
Is this like a Domino's thing?
Small places.
Oh man.
You'll have to look it up. Google
I just had hours of hangouts on that fucking pizza shit. I'm done. I'm done.
Has nothing to do with pizza. I'll just point that out.
Well, it kind of does. There's a pizzeria involved.
Example, basically saying that the East Coast and the West Coast of the United States are level. But that's because they say, well, it's equally the distance to the center of the ball.
Correct.
So, I mean, when you have these kind of things that you can just say, so where's the proof of that? Well, here's the picture
Geometry.
from NASA.
Yeah,
geometry. 50 years. Yep. I mean, that's not a good enough answer.
The fact that they both have seashores.
Wow. So take a look at this globe here on the left and the two red dots. Are both those places level? I, of course, say that they are because the Earth is flat, but so do they. And if you ask them why, they'll tell you because all spots on the ball are equidistant from the center of the ball. All right, makes sense. So you ask for proof, and you get Kara saying
geometry.
And you get Red saying
the fact that they both have seashores.
Yeah, definitely is proof that we all live on a ball. These are the people you should be following. Geniuses. Again, no proof. It's not science.
It's been a great show to debunk, guys.
Good job.
Yeah, good guy. Good guys. Yeah. You guys are idiots.
You want to try that again before you call us idiots?
Good job.
Yeah, good guy. Good guys. Yeah. You guys are idiots. Jeranism.
No. You're geniuses. We're just not smart enough to get it.
No, just do the research on the Chapecoense flight or the Lamia flight and stop mouthing off and the comments about craziness. I mean, if you go to those comments, look at the amount of people who say that I sold out, that I now work for the government because I went and actually researched.
I don't think you're qualified.
You've never researched anything in your entire fucking life.
Wow, the intellectual honesty of Red's rhetoric is unmatched. Top notch. Wow.
Talking about now is his last video. He actually starts it off by talking about a tragedy that happened to the another country's soccer team somewhere in South America. They crashed.
Yeah.
And he actually pinned it up as a real event, and then he switched over to flat Earth to try to debunk, the globe.
Yeah.
It was it started out very respectful, and then it changed quickly to total disrespect for the tragedy that happened.
Yeah, duplicitous. I'm telling you.
All right, let's listen in.
Seems like Sean Hufford has had these opportunities quite a few times, but this time again he had a chance to stand out, in my opinion, and he did, in a way, stand out as a nobody, with no balls to stand up and do what's right. Instead, you tucked your tail again, Sean. You have absolutely no class, no integrity. I mean, right there, you were the only one who saw my video. You heard Red throughout the entire hangout continue to characterize me as someone who is calling the event a hoax. Every time that little tick in your mind, that little twitch, was telling you to speak up, and you didn't. Because you bow down to Red, you bow down to the man who says he wouldn't feel bad if something happened to my family, and yet you call yourselves intellectually honest, and I know out of anybody there, it was you, Hufford, the entire time that realized you guys weren't listening to anything we said. You weren't debunking anything. You knew it the whole time. You felt it inside you. You did nothing. No heart, no class, no integrity. Think of it this way. If you recall the lies that you told about me, especially the ones that I would know and no one else, the money you said that I stole, the laser you say I sold, which I sent back to Bob, the lies you claimed I made about the air show, then on to you actually thinking, when I gave a shout out to Jaren on my video, that I was reading a script and accidentally said my own name, not knowing that Bob's son's name is Jaren. Then when we call you out for it, you actually go as far as to say you did it on purpose with the intent of proving a point. I mean, Bob, Jaren, and a bunch of others saw all that happened in that exchange. Pretty pathetic. And now this video? Yeah, you're one of the most intellectually dishonest nobodies I have seen so far on YouTube. You're a liar, a deceiver, and a fool. And I'm done dealing with your type. So, adios. Have fun. Walmart just called. Clean up on aisle 4.
Clean up on aisle 4.
Aisle 4, check.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
And, there's signs that will tell you when things are real and when they're not. When you have Sandy Hook, anybody who says...
Look for the signs.
...is an idiot. They're an idiot because they don't...
Fabbing to another tragedy.
I mean, these conspiratards they get off on tragedy. They really do. Whenever there's a tragedy, there's a fucking conspiracy about
It's despicable. It's disgusting, I think.
What I think is despicable and disgusting is you haven't listened to me one time. I have never said this is a hoax or that it didn't happen. But you people believe only whatever little fantasies you have in your head. So, of course, you're going to keep mouthing off because you're confused. You don't listen to a word that comes out of anybody's mouth besides Wikipedia.
These kids up here, no investigation. It's ridiculous that people can't differentiate between when...
They just can't handle good or bad things.
Yeah, I think they have low coping skills. It's a self-defense mechanism. They don't realize that good and bad things do happen.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Nice job, guys. You were right. I don't realize that good and bad things happen. Wow. You are absolutely clueless. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth.
And honestly, the worst part about this whole thing is that let's hypothetically say that was Jism's family on that plane or whatever. I think he would be singing an entirely different tune because all of a sudden it's a realness there, and he just doesn't fucking understand that these things are real.
I've been talking about the fact that it was a real event. Are you really just not listening at all? So if my family was involved, I'd be saying something different?
And he needs to fucking get his shit together. Otherwise, he's going to go down a long, dark path. I hope nothing does happen to his family. But if it does, I cannot say I would feel sorry for him.
Man, what a good guy Red's Rhetoric is, isn't he? The kind of person you want to have as a friend.
So with that, we will leave out of here and wish everybody a good upcoming week. And we'll call it a show. So with that, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind. There's truth.
Don't lie to each other.
And that right there is the icing on the cake. 88 debunks.
That is a perfect ending.
Don't lie to each other.
Don't lie to each other. Gee, and you wonder. And you wonder.
There's truth inside.
Oh, man.
And even better.
Open up their mind. There's garbage inside.
Look what happens now.
88 debunks, filled with nothing but truth and being good, honest people to the core. Oh, how I wish the world was filled with more of these dirtbags. Anyway, folks, you got to see what intellectual honesty looks like. They built no straw men. They listened carefully. They addressed each situation or based on its own merit. Yeah, right. They did nothing even close to that. I mean, really, to you guys on the red team there, I feel bad for you. I really do. Kara, you seem halfway decent, but hanging around with Hufford, Houseboy, and Feminem made you look ridiculous here. Usually you save them. This time, it burned you. I mean, you all could not have been more incorrect on nearly everything you said. I'm wondering how you look in the mirror and deal with the fact that flat earthers can think, and you guys cannot. Sadly, it seems that these type of people are actual wastes of space. They're clowns who do nothing for humanity. They're parrots. Do you guys feel any shame at all? When you're all laughing at me, calling me a fool for saying that the Chapecoense incident was a murder, and then a few days later it comes out that it's a murder? That means I was right and you guys are clowns. And wrong. Way wrong. Again, if you guys agree with me, hashtag Red's Pathetic down in the comments. But to Kara and all those guys, hey, you did help me out, though. I now understand the difference between you guys and I. And the difference is I can use my brain. I can look at evidence and come to a conclusion based on that evidence. I can trust myself to come out and make a claim before someone else does under my real name. I believe it's called having balls, unlike the clowns in this or any of Red's hangouts who have no balls at all, and capable of having a thought without their owner's permission. Look at Red's position. He gets to invoke all the scientific facts and lie through his teeth, yell and scream and treat others like garbage and hide behind his screen so he can act tough without revealing his name. I like to keep my personal life and my YouTube life separate. I tape rockets. Math is reality. And see, with my model, my idea, I can even make a prediction. And my prediction would be that even though the evidence is out, you can go look for it. You can go see it all right in front of you. I can say that Obama's birth certificate is forged. I can say that. I've looked at the evidence. But here's the difference. You guys cannot. You should realize right now there's a reason for that, and it's because you are puppets. You're clowns. You're only allowed to say what science says is okay, what Wikipedia allows you to, what Snopes says is cool. That's how you guys base your life. You're not a human being anymore. You're wasting space and eating up all the resources. Well, I'd like to say it was fun, but I'd rather jump off my roof onto a spiked seat unicycle than to ever have to listen to Red's Rhetoric, one of his hangouts, or another video again. So I do have a little treat for you, although you got to be careful. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. There's a video coming up, a music video for Red's Rhetoric. The song is called Gravity Has Nothing to Do with the Size of the Earth. It's a pretty good song. Also, in the link in the description will be a link if you want to download it. You can have it and play it, bump it in your car, whatever you want to do. And besides that, let's see, Red's Rhetoric, I think, is at 4035 subs as we go into this. Hopefully some people see this video and realize who they're dealing with. Should go down to about 3035. But I doubt it. People like to listen to kids yell and scream and roll on the floor and pout and, oh my God, what's happening? Facepalm. Oh God, so stupid. Idiot. For some strange reason, people enjoy that sort of thing. So, moral of today's story, be a human being, not just another puppet, clown, waste of space, liar, like Red's Rhetoric, who hides behind his computer with a fake name and thinks he's cool. He's not. But still, try to remember to be kind to one another. Don't lie to each other. And open your mind, because there is truth inside. This has been Jeranism. Until next time. Peace!
Gravity has nothing to do with the shape of the fucking Earth. Well, holy shit, ain't that an idea? Fucking idiot. Bullshit. It doesn't work that way. Gravity has nothing to do with the shape of the fucking Earth. With the shape of the fucking Earth. The point is I have pressed a button before, which means I have experience. Math is reality. Whoa, what a fucking idiot! With the shape of the fucking Earth. Bullshit. With the shape of the fucking Earth. Yes! Yes! With the shape of the fucking Earth. Well, holy shit, ain't that an idea? With the shape of the fucking Earth. Whoa, what a fucking idiot! Bullshit. Gravity has nothing to do with the shape of the fucking Earth. By 61,000 miles per fucking hour. Math is reality. Hurry up. Make an adjustment, you get a new starting point, you fucking idiots. Gravity has nothing to do with the shape of the fucking Earth. With the shape of the fucking Earth. Motherfucker, I pressed a button before with the shape of the fucking Earth. Earth actually is flat. Sources are linked in the fucking video. Get wrecked. Math is reality. Asshole fucking cocksucking piece of shit. Bullshit. It doesn't work that way. The Earth actually is flat. The Earth actually is flat. Is flat. Is flat. With the shape of the fucking Earth. Is flat. National Space Station orbiting overhead. Where's your observation of ships disappearing over the horizon? Where's your mathematics that show that the Earth actually is flat? Math is reality. Flat Earth cosmology. NASA, what the fuck is wrong with you? Bullshit. Gravity has nothing to do with the shape of the fucking Earth. Bullshit. The shape of the fucking Earth. NASA, what the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, morons.
NASA.
Moron.
NASA. Fucking retard.
It's funny.
Flat Earth cosmology. The Earth actually is flat.
It's funny because if they had any understanding of math and calculus, they would understand rate of change.
Is flat.
Rate of change.
Is flat. Bullshit. It doesn't work that way. Exactly.
It's funny.
I am
gravity. You know.
Yeah, gravity, you fucking retard. Gravity has nothing to do with the shape of the fucking Earth.
I already told where he's going with the dog face on Google, even though it actually looks more like a whale when you look at it from another angle.
I think it looks like a heart because.
Oh my fucking god! Listen. The human mind is meant to pick out patterns that we recognize. God damn it! That's bullshit. I don't want to be a YouTube celebrity. Math is reality. Gravity has nothing to do with the shape of the fucking Earth. Fucking Earth. Fucking Earth. Fucking Earth. Fucking Earth. Fucking Earth. Fucking Earth.